Good afternoon. Are you struggling to time your golf swing? If you are, come back in a minute and I'll show you how to do it correctly. A wise man once told me, you won't lose your golf swing on the round, but when you lose your timing, it will feel like it. And I believe this to be true. I think at some stage we're going to have to get away from all these technical thoughts and just really get into feeling the timing and the rhythm of our golf swing and trying to keep that around 18 holes of golf. And I think that's probably the most difficult thing to do. If you change your timing, you're going to have a feeling of everything being out of place, and that will really give you the feeling of losing your swing. But that of course offers the point, what's good timing? Now, if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that I've been looking at things like this for years, and about 3 or 4 years ago I actually did publish a video trying to help you to find your timing with a sound file which delivers kind of 5 steps. I'm now trying to reduce that a step further by just having 4 steps in the swing and changing them slightly, just to give you a little bit more idea of kind of the positions you want to be getting into and how you might be able to control them better, not by thinking of I want to get to this position, but basically just thinking of kind of a beat system which will help you to get there. So first of all, let's visit the positions and get an idea of where we want to be, and then we'll think about how we're going to time them. When you look at the golf swing, really I'm only really looking for kind of 4 key positions. The first one actually happens when I get to this position. I'm actually starting the club away with my upper body and arms and letting my hips and legs stay quiet. So I'll be able to move a certain distance to around about kind of right thigh height or slightly outside of that without any help. At this point, however, the hip is then going to start to rotate, and I want to be hinging the elbow and wrist of the right arm and pulling the arms up. So the club is actually leaving its original shaft plane and being pulled up across the chest to the top. So that would be the second phase in the golf swing. And it's really quite a good idea to kind of think of these things not as point 1, point 2, but as kind of a phase. So I'm going a 1 and then 2, and then I'm at the top of the backswing. The next step is probably the most difficult in golf, and this is the one that I've really been struggling with, which is the position that we want to be getting to. How much time should I be allowing it? And a lot of times I've been really trying to time my way back to impact. I've now found it a little bit easier, and also my students seem to be finding it easier, not to time their way back to impact, but to time their way back to the deepest point for the hands. And this is a position that they find around about opposite the right thigh. If you're a right-handed golfer, left thigh obviously, if the other way around. So once you've actually got the club up, you've got to get the club back down whilst getting the hips out of the way. So if you can do this movement, the third phase of the golf swing is basically getting the clubs down, or the club down. From here, you're starting to turn, or not starting, but you're turning through the ball, you're releasing the final angles in the arm and wrist, and you're accelerating through the golf ball to a full finish. So this would be phase 4. So we could say it's phase 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you remember, for years people have been telling us to kind of say Coca-Cola when we're swinging. So you would have Coca-Cola. Unfortunately, Coca-Cola breaks down because these different phases aren't equal. I've looked at thousands of professional swings, and one of the real mysteries is really that they all do it at a slightly different time, but seem to have a very similar rhythm. Now, I don't want to kind of put my hand in fire and say these are the timings that you should have or a tour professional should have, but generally the tour pros will be kind of moving into the position 1 or through to the position 1 in around about 400 milliseconds. Some of them are a little bit shorter, some of them a little bit longer. It takes about the same amount of time to get from there to the top of the swing. So they're up there by around about kind of 800 milliseconds, and they're getting the arms down into this kind of position over the right thigh in around about 200. So really it's taken a quarter of amount of the time to get to the right thigh. If you then were to time the amount of time it takes to get into impact, that's very similar by every professional. Even the girls of around about somewhere between kind of 30 and 40 milliseconds. And then it will take around about 600-700 milliseconds from there around into the finish position, depending on where you say the finish position has come, when they're actually totally balanced or when the upper body simply stops rotating. I don't honestly think it's very important, but again, if you've got to find some kind of a rhythm for this, I don't know if Coca-Cola is really the right one. What we're experimenting with at the moment in the academy is counting 1, 2 in the backswing and 3 in the downswing. That means "and" is taking over the downswing responsibilities or returning the club to the plane. So we're basically going 1, 2 and 3. 1, 2 and 3. Obviously you've then got to kind of speed that up until you get to the position where you have a feeling you can get the club down quick enough. Obviously there's a kind of a rhythm, a timing between how much time you need to get the club up and how much time you need to get the club down. And you'll see the pros basically with anything between a 3-to-1 and 4-to-1 difference between the speed of the backswing and downswing. It rarely gets any quicker than that. So if you're taking it back in 800 milliseconds, you would expect it to kind of come down in maybe 250 milliseconds. Again, is it worth getting a stopwatch up and tying it? I don't think it would do you any harm, but the trick is basically just your brain to have the feeling of there being phases and waiting for this third one. 1, 2 and 3. As you pick up the speed, 1, 2 and 3. 1, 2 and 3. 1, 2 and 3. You've got to basically then let it go, and at some stage I'm sure these points aren't really one on top of the other. Where you are is where you think you are. 1, 2 and 3. So not only did that sound a bit strange, I doubt very much that I was there, but my brain is pretty convinced about this. One of the advantages we have as well is, so long as I'm busy counting, I'm not thinking about turning my hips or hinging my wrists or am I actually opposite my right thigh. I'm just allowing my body to kind of go through these steps. 1, 2 and 3. 1, 2 and 3. 1, 2 and 3. Now there I really did have a feeling of hitting all of the positions at the right time. Only the camera will tell me if I did. But really, who cares? Because the golf ball has gone straight, and if there was a green there, it would be on it. In the end, it's all about getting repetition into your game, repeating the same movements every time. And a little bit like dancing, I'm sure there's a phase where you've got to learn the technique. Where do you put your feet? What are you doing with your upper body, with your arms? You've got to coordinate these movements. But eventually you're just feeling and moving with the music. That means the beat is giving you a timing when you should be making the next move. And if you can get that beat into your soul, then you could almost dance without music. And that's where you've got to get to with your golf swing. I hope this has helped you. If it has, as ever, hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do it. And don't forget, hit that little bell and you'll get notifications when the next video comes out. I leave my philosophy about golf, which is changing all the time. If you're interested, download it. If I get big changes, I will send you the updates as well. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope to see you all very shortly. Look after yourselves until then.